At the board's anniversary gala, my husband watched with his own eyes as his secretary slapped a sticker that read obsolete onto my face, in front of everyone. Investors, media, and senior executives filled the room. He laughed and said it was just a joke, then demanded that I apologize to the woman who had humiliated me. The next day, my parking spot was gone. My elevator access was revoked. My shares were quietly transferred into proxy ownership, and my wedding ring appeared on her hand. They thought I was just an old version wife, obsolete, phased out by the times. Until I picked up the phone and called my lawyer, pulled up the equity records, patents, and every piece of evidence. That's when he panicked. On the day of the board's anniversary celebration, I wore the most expensive suit I owned and sat in the seat beside Daniel. I was the CEO's wife. I'd sat in that seat for 7 years. Lily walked over holding a glass of champagne, a shiny sticker in her hand. She was my husband's secretary, 26 years old, in a tight dress, smiling sweetly. "Emily, this tattoo sticker is perfect for today's theme," she said brightly, loud enough for the entire table to hear. Before I could react, she peeled it off and pressed it onto my left cheek. Ice cold. The table fell silent for a second. "Oh no. Sorry. I put it on crooked," Lily said, smiling with crescent-shaped eyes. Her hand was steady as she added another sticker. A few people at the table started to snicker. "Investor Mr. Chen adjusted his glasses. His voice on the other end was steady and firm. "Understood. Send the materials to my encrypted email." I hung up and opened my laptop. The glow of the screen reflected on my face. The game had begun. The first thing I did when I got home was open my jewelry box. My wedding ring was gone. I had designed that ring myself. Inside was engraved the date of our startup. The diamond wasn't large, but we had spent half a year's savings on it back then. I searched every drawer. Nothing. A notification popped up on my phone. Lily had updated her social media. In the photo, a close-up of her slender fingers. On her hand, my wedding ring. The diamond glittered sharply under the light. Caption: "Some things don't need legality to be owned. Love has never cared about origins." The comments exploded. "That ring looks familiar? Doesn't Daniel's wife have one just like it?" Lily replied with a shy emoji. I took a screenshot and sent it to Daniel. 3 minutes later, he called. I gave her the ring. He said she needed it for business events to project a credible image. Don't overthink it. My wedding ring on her hand, and I'm not supposed to overthink it? "Emily, you look ugly like this." Daniel's voice turned cold. "A ring can be replaced. The company's image can't. She's more suitable than you to represent me." The call ended. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. Lily stood outside, carrying a dessert box. "Emily, I'm here to return the ring," she said gently, smiling. "Daniel really shouldn't have let me wear yours, even though he said, you're no longer suitable for that ring." She set it down on the entryway cabinet, as if discarding a piece of trash. "Oh, right," she added lightly as she turned to leave. "Did you know? The company's about to launch a new brand. They want a young couple as spokespeople. The board thinks Daniel and I fit the future-forward image better." She leaned in, lowering her voice. "You're expired. Bowing out on your own would be more dignified." The door closed. I stared at the ring on the cabinet. Then I picked up my phone and called Ethan. "Book me the best divorce lawyer in the country, someone who specializes in high-net-worth asset division. And I want you to start digging into Lily's background. Every detail. Leave nothing out." "We've already started," Ethan said. "And there's something you should know. Under your personal name, you hold 3 core patents for the company's key technologies. Daniel's been using them all these years. But legally, they're your exclusive property." I clenched the ring in my hand. The diamond cut into my palm. "Good," I said. "Now let's talk about how to take everything back." A week later, a company-wide email announced happy news. Lily was pregnant. The email was written by Daniel himself. The subject line read, "Welcoming new life. Embracing a new future." He called it a double blessing and spoke of the shared legacy of family and business. My phone exploded with calls from mutual friends. "Emily, did you see that? That secretary, how could Daniel do this? You're not even divorced yet." I heard the board's already discussing succession risks. If Lily has the baby, the equity structure might change. I hung up and opened the news. The top headline in the financial section read, Tech CEO exposed for extramarital affair, suspected illegitimate child may impact stock price. The accompanying photo showed Daniel shielding Lily as they exited a hospital. He blocked the camera with one hand and held her tightly in his arms. I'd seen that pose before. 7 years ago, when I was hospitalized after a miscarriage. He'd shielded me the same way at the hospital entrance. The only difference was, back then, there were no reporters. That afternoon, Daniel came home. It was his first time back in 2 weeks. Emily, he said, sitting across from me, his tone like he was negotiating a contract. Lily's pregnant. The child is mine. I looked at him. So? The board is very nervous right now. If we divorce at this point, the stock price will crash. He paused. We should postpone the divorce for a year. Until she gives birth? For the company's stability. He avoided my eyes. You know how hard it's been to get where we are. I do, I said. The night before our first round of funding, you had a 103-degree fever. I stayed up all night revising the pitch deck. During the second round, the pressure made your hair fall out. I spent 3 months drinking herbal medicine with you. The third round, what's the point of bringing that up? Daniel cut me off. The reality is what matters now. Lily is carrying the heir. Some board members are already suggesting the child should receive equity after birth. My equity? I smiled. That's marital property. He snapped. Emily, don't be so selfish. You're outdated. But the company still needs to grow. Lily's young. She understands new technology. She can help me professionally. She can help you have a child. I said. Daniel's face turned ashen. I need your cooperation, he said finally, publicly. We maintain the marriage. Once the child is born and the company stabilizes, I'll give you generous compensation. How generous? The house you're living in, plus 10 million in cash. The house was worth 30 million. My equity was worth at least 200 million. He really thought I was an idiot. Daniel, I said slowly, do you remember what the doctor said after my miscarriage? He froze. The doctor said it would be very hard for me to get pregnant again. I met his eyes. You knelt by the hospital bed and cried. You said it didn't matter, we had each other. And that was enough. He turned away. Bringing this up now, so when another woman gets pregnant with your child, you suddenly decide she's more valuable than me. Is that it? Silence. Come to the hospital with me tomorrow. I stood up. If this child is so important, I want to see the medical reports myself. What are you implying? Exactly what it sounds like. I grabbed my bag. A third-party hospital. Top doctors. I want independent medical verification. Emily, you've gone too far, he shouted. Then I'll see you in court. I walked to the door. Let the judge decide whether a cheating husband has the right to ask me to delay a divorce. As the door closed, I heard something smash behind me. I didn't look back. In the car, I dialed again. Ethan. Arrange the most reliable OBGYN you can find. I want the full pregnancy verification process. And check Lily's medical records from the past 3 months, every hospital. No exceptions. 3 days later, I asked Daniel to meet me at the law firm. He thought I'd given in. He arrived wearing the smug confidence of a victor. Lily wasn't with him, but her perfume lingered on his suit. It was the birthday gift I'd given him last year. You've come around? He said, loosening his tie as he sat down. I slid the divorce agreement across the table. I agree to the divorce. My terms are simple. I won't fight over feelings. And I won't fight over the unborn child. Daniel's eyes lit up. He must have thought I'd completely surrendered. But, I said, flipping to the second page, I'm taking back everything that belongs to me. His smile froze. First, I said, the 28% equity registered under my name is to be returned in full, not a single share missing. Second, the company has been using my 3 patents for 7 years. License fees must be paid at market rate, estimated at around 80 million. Third, of the 7 properties acquired during our marriage, I want 5. Fourth, the 20 million in offshore funds in your personal account, I want half. Daniel's face went from red to white, then from white to green. Are you insane? He slammed the table. That's impossible. Then we'll go to court. I leaned back in my chair. I have plenty of time. But Daniel, do you? Can the heir in Lily's belly afford to wait? Can the board afford to wait? He stared at me viciously. Do you know how I found the offshore account? I said softly. Because the password was our wedding anniversary. You never even bothered to change it. It was like I'd slapped him across the face. Emily, his voice softened. After all, we were husband and wife. Once you sign, we won't be. I smiled. Oh, and just a reminder, starting today, I've frozen all financial support tied to your personal accounts. Your mother's monthly $50,000 allowance and your sister's overseas tuition, cover them with your own pocket money. You wouldn't dare. Why wouldn't I? I stood up. That money was my premarital property. I can give it, or stop it, whenever I want. I walked to the door, then turned back. One more thing. The company's cash flow this month looks unusual. 3 large transfers with no clear destination. If the board asks about it, what do you think I should say? His phone rang. Caller ID, Lily. He answered. I could hear her shrill sobbing on speaker. Daniel, my secondary card won't work. I'm at Hermes. It's so humiliating. I smiled and closed the door. Outside, my lawyer Ethan was waiting. The patent documents are ready, he said. We can send them to the company's legal department anytime. Not yet. I glanced at the closed door. Let the bullet fly a little longer. Lily's pregnancy proof was bought. Ethan laid out the investigation results in front of me, records from 3 private hospitals. The ultrasound data was nearly identical, down to the exact fetal heart rate numbers. In a real pregnancy, Ethan said. Those figures always vary slightly. She bribed one of the doctors. He continued, pointing at a photo. Dr. Lou. His account received $500,000 last week. It got better. Dr. Lou's daughter was applying to an overseas study program. The agency handling it was owned by one of Lily's old friends. She threatened him, Ethan said. If he didn't cooperate, his daughter wouldn't be going abroad. I copied the evidence 3 times. 1 copy for media contacts, 1 for the Medical Regulatory Authority, 1 for myself. The next day, I went to the hospital where Lily usually had her checkups. By coincidence, I ran straight into her and Daniel. Lily wore a loose dress, her belly visibly rounded. Daniel supported her carefully, every move protective. When she saw me, Lily immediately covered her stomach and hid behind him. Emily, what are you doing here? Daniel stepped in front of her. Getting a checkup. I waved my appointment slip. What, do you own the hospital? Don't you dare hurt her. His voice was loud enough to turn heads in the waiting area. Lily began to sob. Emily, I know you hate me, but the baby is innocent, a flawless performance. I raised my phone and tapped play. Lily's voice came through the speaker. Crystal clear, Dr. Lou. This is the final payment. Remember, next ultrasound. Write placenta previa. That way I can stay on bed rest and won't have to go to the office. But Miss Lily, falsifying medical records is illegal, then your daughter can forget about the Ivy League. Choose. The recording ended. The waiting room fell into a deathly silence. Lily's face drained of all color. It's fake, she clutched Daniel, shaking. She faked the recording. She's trying to kill our baby. Daniel glared at me, eyes blazing. Emily, you're vicious. I put my phone away. Whether it's fake or not, let the doctor explain. The exam room door opened. Dr. Lou stepped out, exhausted. Miss Lily, he said, I can't help you anymore. My daughter, she won't be going abroad. I can't destroy my entire career for her. He turned to me and bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Ms. Emily. I'll cooperate fully with the investigation. Lily's legs gave out. She collapsed to the floor. Daniel reached for her, but his hands were shaking. So, I said, looking at him, the heir you defended so desperately is a fake pregnancy. You used my shares and my money to support a con artist. His lips moved, but no words came out. I turned and walked away. The corridor was long. My heels echoed sharply. Behind me came Lily's hysterical screams and Daniel's suppressed rage. I didn't look back, because the real show was only just beginning. The annual High Society Charity Gala, the most extravagant event of the year. Daniel and Lily arrived in grand fashion. She wore a custom gown, her belly now unmistakable, her arm linked through his. Smiling sweetly, camera flashes chased them. Mr. Daniel, is it true your wife has filed for divorce? Miss Lily, when is your due date? Has the recent stock volatility been affected by your personal life? Daniel kept smiling. No comment on private matters. Tonight is about charity. They entered the ballroom. 5 minutes later, I arrived. I didn't walk the red carpet. I entered through the VIP passage. But the moment I appeared, the entire room fell silent. I wore a simple black evening gown. Around my neck hung a necklace. The pendant bore my family's crest. Small, subtle, but to those who knew, it meant everything. The Carter family, one of the oldest and most discreet wealth dynasties in the city, deeply rooted in finance, real estate, and technology, yet never ostentatious. My father is the current head of the family, and I am his only child. 7 years ago, for Daniel, I erased my identity and built a startup with him as an ordinary girl. My father was so furious he nearly cut ties with me, but I insisted on pure love. Now, I was back. When Daniel saw me, the champagne glass in his hand trembled. The board members collectively lost composure. Chairman Wang dropped the cigar from his fingers. The media went insane. Every camera swung toward me. MS. Emily, what is your relationship with the Carter family? In what capacity are you attending tonight? I walked up to the stage and took the microphone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Carter. Tonight, on behalf of the Carter Family Charitable Foundation, I'm donating $50 million to support women-led startups. The room erupted. I looked at Daniel and Lily and smiled. And while I have the floor, I'd like to clarify a few things. I gestured. Dr. Lou entered from the side door, standing beside me. He spoke into the microphone. I testify that Miss Lily's pregnancy examination reports were fabricated. She was never pregnant. Flashbulbs exploded. Lily screamed. He's lying. He took bribes. I tapped my phone and connected it to the hall's sound system. The recording played again, this time in full. Not only Lily threatening the doctor, but also her conversations with a drug dealer about purchasing prenatal supplements, which were actually just vitamins, and her bragging to a friend, once I give birth to a son, at least half of Daniel's shares will be mine. That old hag will be kicked out for good. The hall fell dead silent. Then, uproar. Reporters surged toward Lily. Miss Lily, was the pregnancy fake? What was your motive for deceiving Mr. Daniel? You're suspected of illegally purchasing medical certifications. Any comment? Daniel stood frozen, like a statue. He stared at Lily, at her belly, at the chaotic crowd surrounding them. Then he looked at me. In his eyes, shock, rage, fear, and a trace of pleading. I looked away. Lily collapsed. She grabbed a table knife, not at anyone else, but slashed her own wrist. You forced me. All of you forced me, she screamed hysterically. I just wanted to love someone properly. What did I do wrong? Security rushed in and restrained her. The wail of an ambulance grew louder. The gala descended into total chaos. I left amid the turmoil. Ethan was waiting at the entrance. The police have formally opened a case on the medical fraud, he said. Lily's been taken in for investigation. And Daniel? He's surrounded by reporters. He's probably losing his mind. Ethan paused. But Emily, are you sure about doing this? I got into the car, watching the neon lights flicker past the window. 7 years ago, he knelt in front of my father and promised he'd treat me well for the rest of his life. I said quietly. My father gave him his first round of startup capital on one condition: he must never make me cry. But he made me cry for 7 years. Now it's time for him to pay. The next morning, the company's stock opened down 30%. Financial headlines screamed, tech darling's image collapses, fake pregnancy scandal, equity disputes, marriage breakdown. Subhead, former startup power couple turn on each other, what's next for the billion-dollar empire? The board convened an emergency meeting. Daniel was ordered to step down temporarily, but the real spectacle came next. After waking up in the hospital, Lily faced live cameras, crying, the baby is real. They're framing me. Emily is jealous. She bribed the doctors. My child is Daniel's flesh and blood. She lifted her hospital gown, revealing a slightly rounded belly. Look, the belly is real. The internet exploded. Can a belly be faked? Maybe she's just gained weight? What if the baby is real? Was Emily too ruthless? Public opinion began to waver. Daniel clung to this last straw. He held a press conference, looking haggard but resolute. I believe Lily. The child is mine, and I will take responsibility. As for Emily, his voice broke. I regret that. Because she's unable to have children. She's become psychologically unstable and has done these things. He cried on camera. Emily, stop now. We can talk this through. I watched the live stream and laughed. Psychologically unstable? Unable to have children? He really knew exactly where to stab. My phone rang. Daniel. Emily, he said hoarsely. Let's stop this. Okay? If you withdraw the evidence, we can start over. Lily's child, once it's born. We'll give her money and send her away. Things can go back to how they were. Like before? I asked. You cheat. I swallow it? You steal my equity. I pretend not to know? You let your mistress ride over my head. And I smile and say welcome? Then what do you want me to do? He shouted. Kneel and beg? Fine, I'll kneel. There was a dull thud on the other end of the line. He really knelt. Emily, I was wrong, I lost my mind. But the company is something we built together. You can't destroy it. What about all the employees? Our dreams? Your dream was stepping on my corpse and running off with Lily. I said calmly. As for the company, don't worry. I won't destroy it. I'll save it. In my way, by removing you. I hung up and called Ethan. Release all judicial materials related to the medical fraud case. And apply for a compulsory medical examination for Lily. If she insists she's pregnant, then run a DNA test. The DNA results came back. There was no fetal DNA in Lily's body. She had never been pregnant. So what about the belly? Subcutaneous injections of specialized fillers used to simulate a pregnant abdomen. Side effects included potential skin necrosis. Once the police announcement was released, public opinion flipped completely. But the show wasn't over yet. Ethan handed me a thick folder. Lily's full background investigation. He said, it's even more interesting than we expected. Page 1, fabricated education. The Ivy League master's degree on her resume? In reality, it was an online program from a diploma mill. The certificate cost her 5,000 yuan. Page 2, identity theft. The identity she used when she joined the company belonged to a young woman who had died in a car accident. The real Lily had been dead for 3 years. Page 3, fake poverty narrative. She claimed to be from a remote mountain region, orphaned, and supported by scholarships through school. In truth, both parents were alive, running a small supermarket in a county town, and she regularly went home to ask them for money. Page 4, criminal history. At 20, she was involved in a fraud case, using a fake identity to date wealthy young men and scam 2 million yuan. She was never charged due to insufficient evidence. Daniel has become the textbook case of catastrophic hiring failure, Ethan said. The board despises him now, letting someone like this stay by his side for 3 years. The media began digging into Lily's past. Her social media accounts were torn apart. The once inspirational goddess persona shattered completely. Then came the twist. Lily's so-called best friend, Grace, flipped. Grace contacted me directly and handed over a USB drive. Everything's on here, chat logs, transfer records, and secretly recorded videos. She promised to split the money with me once it was done. But now, I just want to protect myself. On the drive, I found what I most wanted to see. A secretly recorded video, Daniel and Lily talking in his office. Daniel, once the child is born, I'll divorce Emily. I'll figure out a way to transfer her shares to your name, say she gave them voluntarily. Lily, what if she refuses? Daniel, smiling, she loves me too much. She'll agree. The date on the video was the day before I discovered my wedding ring was missing. I made a copy. Then I called the chairman of the board, Mr. Wang. When the police came to arrest Lily, she was at home packing luxury goods. Hermes, Chanel, Patek Philippe, all purchased with Daniel's secondary credit card. The police presented the warrant. Lily, you're suspected of identity fraud, medical falsification, and attempted fraud. Please come with us. She went hysterical, struggling wildly. I didn't do it. Emily set me up. Daniel, save me. But Daniel had no one to save him. The bank froze his personal accounts for suspected transfer of marital assets. The board voted to remove him as CEO. Mr. Wang took over as interim chief. The media gave Daniel a new nickname, the gold-digging husband, because someone dug up the original startup coverage, clearly stating that the first angel investment came from the Carter family. Online comments exploded, so the company was built with the wife's family money? Ultimate freeloader trying to replace the legal wife with a mistress, cruel and stupid. Daniel was banned from leaving the country. His passport was confiscated. He called me 27 times. I ignored everyone. On the 28th call, I answered. Emily, his voice sounded 10 years older. Please, let me go. For old times' sake, old times? I laughed. When you let Lily slap an obsolete sticker on my face. Did you think of old times? When you put my wedding ring on her finger? When you forged my signature to transfer my shares? Silence. Daniel, you have one way out. I said calmly. Sign the divorce agreement. Leave with nothing. Otherwise, I'll charge you with embezzlement and document forgery. Minimum sentence, 10 years. On the other end of the line, suppressed sobbing. Once untouchable, now reduced to a stray dog. I'll sign, he choked. I'll sign everything. But Emily, can you keep me out of prison? My mother's health is bad. She couldn't take it. Your mother's monthly support will continue. I said. Not for you, for her. She's always been good to me. He broke down completely. After I hung up, Ethan told me, the board just voted. With your 28% stake, you're now the largest individual shareholder. Mr. One wants to know, do you want to take over as CEO? I looked out the window. The city was ablaze with lights. Once, Daniel and I had a small dream here. The dream was still alive. Only now, I was the only one left to fulfill it. Tell Mr. Wang, I said. I need time to consider. But before that, revoke all of Daniel's access. There should be no trace of him left in the company. The day Daniel came to sign the divorce papers, it was pouring rain. He was soaked through, unshaven, stripped of every trace of his former polish. In Ethan's office, he didn't even read the agreement. He flipped straight to the last page and signed. Asset division, equity return, patent compensation. I agree to everything, he said hollowly. Emily, can you let me go now? I slid another document across the table. A supplemental agreement. You voluntarily relinquish the CEO position and will never enter company management again. You will also publicly admit all wrongdoing and issue a formal apology to me and the Carter family. He jerked his head up. You want to ruin me completely? You're already ruined, I said evenly. This agreement simply gives you a dignified exit. Otherwise, I'll make sure this follows you forever. Every future partner will know exactly what kind of man you are. He stared at me, eyes bloodshot. Then he did something I didn't expect. He stepped away from the chair and dropped to his knees in front of me. Emily, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He cried, tears mixing with rainwater. Let's start over, okay? I'll give everything back. I'll send Lily to prison. We can go back to how it was 7 years ago, start from scratch. He clutched my legs. I love you. I've always loved you. I was just temporarily blinded. Ethan moved to pull him away. I raised a hand to stop him. I looked down at the man kneeling on the floor. 7 years ago, he had knelt like this too, in front of my father, begging for permission to marry me. Back then, there was light in his eyes, calluses on his hands, love in his heart. Now, there was only fear in his eyes, a luxury watch Lily had given him on his wrist, and calculation filling his heart. Daniel, I said slowly, do you know something? The inscription inside Lily's wedding ring isn't our startup date. He froze. The one I gave you had the date engraved. But the one she wore, I smiled. I had the jeweler custom make it. The inside says fake. She wore it for 3 months and never noticed. He went completely rigid. The love you gave me was fake. And the love she gave you was fake too. I pulled my leg back. That's fair, isn't it? He collapsed onto the floor, boneless, like a heap of mud. I picked up the signed agreements and turned to leave. Emily, he shouted after me. Don't you miss the past at all? I stopped at the door but didn't turn around. I do, I said softly. That's why I chose to let the version of you from the past die completely. On the day Lily's case went to trial, I didn't attend. Ethan did. When he came back, he said, she confessed to everything. Identity fraud, medical falsification, attempted fraud, multiple charges combined, 7 years. And her family? I asked. Her parents cried in court, saying, we don't have a daughter like this. Her younger brother told the media she'd been vain since childhood and the family couldn't control her. Social media platforms permanently banned all her accounts. Her once adoring circle of besties vanished overnight. Grace left the country. Before she went, she texted me, I'm sorry. And thank you. I'm starting over. No one vouched for Lily. No one visited her in prison. After the verdict, Daniel gave a public interview. My relationship with Lily was strictly professional. Her personal actions have nothing to do with me or the company. I've deeply reflected and will fully commit to rebuilding my career. Online reactions were brutal. Master of deflection peak scumbag. These two really deserved each other. What was even more ironic was that Daniel's so-called career rebuild never even got off the ground. No company would hire him. No investor would touch him. Even old friends who once called him brother avoided him. He moved back into a rental in the old district, the place we lived before we started the company. Sometimes I think fate really is a circle. 7 years ago, we started there. 7 years later, he ended up back there, and I went somewhere much farther. 6 months later, I was invited to speak at a global business forum. The topic, women's capital independence and the startup ecosystem. Entrepreneurs, investors, and media from around the world filled the audience. I walked onto the stage in a simple white suit. The spotlight hit me. 7 years ago, when my ex-husband and I founded our company, everyone called me Daniel's wife. I began calmly. My shares were held in his name. My patents were used by him. My identity was defined by him. The room went silent. Until one day, his secretary slapped an obsolete label on my face. In front of the board, he made me apologize for affecting company morale. Someone in the audience gasped. That was the day I understood this. When you hand over sovereignty over your life to someone else, you become a configurable part. When a new version comes out, the old one gets discarded. I switched slides. On the screen appeared the company's stock chart, plummeting, then slowly climbing after I took over. People often ask me how to save a company on the brink of collapse. I said with a smile. My answer is, save yourself first. Take back your equity. Protect your patents. Defend your name. You are not anyone's accessory. You are the sole shareholder of your own destiny. The applause was thunderous. After the forum, reporters surrounded me. MS. Emily, what's your opinion on your ex-husband Daniel's new startup project? I looked straight into the camera. I wish him luck. But to women entrepreneurs, remember this, don't pin your dreams on someone else's conscience. Because conscience has an expiration date. That night, #Don'tTerrallyOnConscience trended, and Daniel's new project officially failed to secure funding. 3 months later, I received an email from Daniel. It was long, over 3,000 words, recounting our past. Our first meeting. First time holding hands. First all-nighter working on a proposal. He said he was bankrupt. His lease was ending next month. His mother needed surgery. He said he dreamed about me every night. He wrote, Emily, I don't want anything anymore. I just want you back. We can go to a small city. Open a little shop. Live simply like we did in the beginning. I read it twice. Then replied with 3 words, read. Get lost. Blocked his email. The next day, Ethan told me Daniel had tried to force his way into the company building and was stopped by security. He kept yelling that he needed to see you, said he had something to say in person. Tell him, I said, flipping through documents. If he harasses me again, I'll apply for a restraining order and take his name off the founder's honor wall. He doesn't deserve it. That evening, I went on a date with my new boyfriend. His name was Alexander, the heir to a European family business. We met at a charity gala. He respected me, admired me, and most importantly, there was no calculation in his eyes when he looked at me. Paparazzi caught us at dinner. In the photo, I was smiling as I cut my steak. He was looking at me gently. The headline read, The Queen Returns. Emily Carter's new romance revealed, boyfriend is European nobility. Daniel saw it. He texted me from a new number, you moved on this fast? We've only been divorced for 6 months. I replied, we divorced because you cheated, lied, and attempted to steal my assets. Want me to refresh your memory? He never replied. Later, I heard he left the city. No one knew where he went, and no one cared. This spring, I officially became CEO of the company. At the same time, I founded the Emily Women Entrepreneurs Fund, with an initial investment of $100 million, dedicated to supporting women-led tech startups. At the launch event, my father was there. He was 70. His hair was completely white, but his back was straight. My daughter, he said to the cameras, one arm around my shoulders. Took 7 years down the wrong road. She finally found her way home. My nose stung. 7 years ago, when I left home for love, he said, "You'll regret this." I said, "I won't." Now I want to say, "Dad, I did regret it, but after regret, I grew up." After the event, my father and I drank tea in my office. "That Daniel," he said suddenly, "came to see me last week." My hand paused. He begged me for another chance. Said he'd sign any agreement as long as he could return to the company, even starting from the bottom. My father shook his head. I had security escort him out. "Did you feel sorry for him?" I asked. "I'm a businessman," my father said, looking at me, "and a businessman's rule is this: never waste a second chance on a junk stock." We both laughed. Outside the window, the city was glowing with lights. I once thought love was the only theme of my life. Now I understand, love is only one part of life, and not the most important one. The most important thing is sovereignty. Absolute sovereignty over your own life. No dependence. No projection. No compromise. You can love, but don't love on your knees. You can give, but know how to take it back. "Emily," my father said before leaving, "your mother would be proud of you." I hugged him. That night, I had a dream. I dreamed of my 22-year-old self, wearing a cheap dress, standing on the balcony of a rented apartment, full of hope for the future. In the dream, I walked up to her and said, "You'll get hurt. You'll be betrayed. You'll cry until there are no tears left. But don't be afraid, because in the end, you'll win. You won't win marriage. You won't win wealth. You won't even win the thrill of revenge. You'll win sovereignty over your life." When I woke up, it was morning. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows, filling the room. I picked up my phone and saw Alexander's good morning text, "The weather's great today. Want to go horseback riding? I'll wait for you." I replied, "Sure." Then I got up and pulled open the curtains. A new day had begun, and I was ready.